This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Hey everyone, Tyler here to let you know that Southgate Media Group has a Patreon. That's right. Starting at just $5 a month, you get extra content for all your favorite podcasts on the network. You can listen to Patreon exclusive shows like This Week in Geek, hear interviews with the podcasters of the network. So just go to www.patreon.com/Southgate Media Group. We are constantly releasing exciting and new things.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Welcome to the Krypton Report, episode 246. Man, this has been a crazy week, James. How's it been for you?
All right. No, not major.
It's been. I mean, it's just been interesting. Like since we were trying to record here for several days now, and what's crazy is we just had our podcast 7th anniversary. Yay us! Yay us! So that's pretty cool, though. Think about it, I've been doing it that long. So it's kind of humbling too, just thinking about where I started from and why I started and who the first people were, like guests who most of them are now gone on to better pastures.
I think what did I find here? Did I find who has the Native Mike podcast?
Yeah, when James first discovered us, we were at the tail end. So basically, if in one way, we were last daughter of Krypton, and then we decided because we were going to do more with it, and some other dude had a podcast named like the Last Daughter of Krypton, something similar, and like he was like sending us a bad review and getting all upset because we stole his name, and he hadn't put a podcast up in years. So we decided to rebrand, went with Krypton Report, kind of bringing in the idea of just Krypton, not only the show, but the planet, like everything that deals with it, and Report, much like the Daily Planet. And then we relaunched, and shortly after the relaunch was when James discovered us because we were part of, at that time, the Capes and Lunatics was kind of forming, and we were going to be on that feed. But then I was like, I don't want to be on that feed. I want to do my own thing. And right about then is where you were like, hey, are you still doing this? I was like, yeah, just kind of, had kind of slowed down a little bit because of the changes, but also just trying to find a co-host. And then James became my co-host, and the rest is amazingly history. That for as long as I've been doing this, James, you've been pretty much doing it with me.
Yes, I have. Been a while.
Jesus, it has. I think I have. So I started in early. I don't know. I can't do math. But anyways, hey, I was trying to do the exact dates because it was.
He said, I don't math.
I can't do math. Because we started a little bit and then we kind of like slowed down because it was supposed to be for Krypton the show and then Supergirl. Then Krypton kept getting delayed. And then we really picked up when Supergirl started in 15. So kind of hit and miss. But yeah, kind of a 6 to 7 year, depending on how you look at when we really got full steam ahead. But anyways, that's enough talking about us. We also had Happy Father's Day to everyone out there because we were going to try to drop this on Father's Day, but life gets in the way, and we have a lot of news.
And that was the plan. We had it all set up. Father's Day just did not work out for us.
That's okay, because we're both dads. We were chilling, doing our fatherly things. I got some cool Father's Day things. I got an awesome Superman like shirt that says like no excuses, like I'm a dad or something like that. I can't like it's this really cool motto, and I just not in front of me. I got an awesome card that says like man, the myth, legend, dad, and it has the Superman symbol, and it's actually a like sign that you hang up, and that was awesome. And let's see, Jania got me something that we were talking about that I really wanted to dig into that I'm actually going to use for an upcoming, an upcoming segment is she bought me the book that is the old 1939 to 42 of the newspaper dailies. And in the first daily,
which volume is that? Is that the first volume? I have
Yes.
that volume. Okay, sweet.
I used to have it, but then little secret here for everybody out there. I had an ex-fiance, and I had moved a bunch of my stuff in there, and then she tore up a bunch of it. She let some water damage happen, and a lot of my stuff got thrown away without me knowing. And so then when I got my stuff and then was unpacking, I started discovering things that were missing. And that was one of my books that was missing. And so Jania got me that. Bless that beautiful woman. And I'm really looking forward to bringing it back around because the early dailies had the first, not the first, but they added stuff from original Action Comics and Superman 1. They started telling more of the story. I have it marked like they fleshed out more about who Jor-El, the past was, what happened on Krypton. So Superman 1, Action 1, and the first set of dailies is a really interesting kind of like comparative piece to kind of look at together. So I'm really, really excited to kind of dig in and get into that kind of comparison because I plan on doing that for an episode. And that's really about it. Oh, my mother-in-law got me some dope Superman flip-flops.
Well,
yeah.
I did see the picture, but it's just a picture on my phone. I haven't gotten to look at all the stuff you got. So
yeah,
you made out like a bandit. I got to go to the gym.
I told Jania I really
that's
didn't
what I
want
got
a whole
for Father's
lot.
Day.
I didn't really want a whole lot, but she got me that book and then found those shirts. And I'm just blessed. The kids wanted to give those to me. So I was very humbled and blessed, and we had a great day. But let's jump into some other stuff before we talk about us, because that's what James and I like to do, talk about us. Because
yes, we're very self-centered individuals, and everything is about us.
Yeah, it's not like we don't talk and hang out or, talk daily or whatever, But let's get in some news. One thing here.
Jamie looked at me like, yeah, whatever you say, dude.
So my local comic book guy that I get my books from and everything, he was telling me his son went to Vegas to a shop and just purchased a graded copy of Superman #1. And his son's supposed to be flying back soon and bringing it into the shop. And he said when his son stops by to show him, that he'll call me and I can come see it. And I'm just like, wow. And that book, okay, the book itself sells like $150,000. The dude bought it for $42,000.
What?
Yeah, and it dealt with the guy who was selling he wanted to get rid of it, but the problem is where he's at and everything, he couldn't move it. It was one of those like, I need money. This is what the minimum that I need. He was an older guy, and so guy flew from Ohio out there, and I'm just like, holy cow.
Man, I wish I had those kind of investments that I could drop, 42 to 150 grand on a rare comic like that.
I just kind of wonder, did he have the money, need to get a private loan, equity, and you know what I'm saying? How did he acquire these funds?
Right.
But that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's so hard to find anything pre-World War II. So the fact that he was able to find that in general is amazing. And I'm one day just want to own a sweet graded comic book. I don't even have to have that rare. So let's jump over to some TV news because we feel like we have so much to cover. So I wanted to bring this up last episode, but we didn't get to. Cisco has left The Flash. And it was a weird episode. I've had a whole weird thing about Cisco leaving, period, because it felt like it was going to go before Crisis. And then we had him leave, here we are now. And it was kind of trying to, I don't know. It was a good episode, but at the same time, The Flash just felt off this whole season.
I am completely lost on The Flash since Crisis. I'm not caught up this season. I watched the end of last season, but I know that Cisco got his powers removed. And then I thought he had him again for Crisis. And then somehow he didn't have it.
Post-Crisis, he didn't have him anymore.
And then post-Crisis, he didn't have him again, and I'm not sure why or how. And then I know there was the Mecha Vibe stuff that they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where he's been, is Mecha Vibe. And it's just, I don't know, this whole season, I give it a pass because The Flash has been really good. And it's just been the post-COVID. And they had a lot of moving pieces of trying to retool the show somewhat. I mean, Team Flash is basically new people, and they've scaled it back, and it's Joe's hasn't been in it as much. Of course, Tom Cavanaugh's leaving the show. His Harrison hasn't been around. He's going to appear in like another episode or two. So it's been weird, but I just hated like Cisco being, the big dude he was. It just felt like an off for him to leave the way he did. Like the last part of the episode really hit home, but just bringing up now, continuing TV, we had our first Diggle appearance. Diggle appeared on Batwoman in a very small role, really kind of insignificant, but just kind of nice to see him. He, and I guess what he's doing is he's appearing, and there's dropping little hints about what's going to be his overall, like, little arc in his episodes. Like, they just announced he's going to play in Legends of Tomorrow. He's going to be Bass Reeves. He's going to play Bass Reeves when they go back in time.
Why does that name sound?
Well, Bass Reeves was a real person, a real lawman. Okay, you should definitely read about his life.
Oh, he was the popular black lawman from
in the Watchmen TV series. Yeah, at the beginning, that the guy was.
Yeah, that the kid crap. Now why am I blanking
Reeves,
on the name?
The Will Reeves at the beginning was watching the movie theater and everything, and that's where he took his inspiration and stuff from.
Yeah, he was a real person.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And Kevin Grievo, for anyone who doesn't know who that is, Kevin Grievo is a actor, comic book writer, scriptwriter. He played Raze in the Underworld movies. The real big black guy with the voice like this. Mm-hmm. He's been writing a Bass Reeves comic book series for Allegiance, which is the comic books they sell in Walmart. And it's actually been really good.
Cool. That's awesome to have story based on a real life that, from my understanding, was a good person.
Yeah. I mean, when I found out like he was a real person, and I hate saying like that because I started reading a lot about his life, and I mean, there needs to be a really well done film about him. A good Western about him. Like there's been some like cheapo ones, and like Bass Reeves has appeared here and there, but we need a really good Bass Reeves movie. So that's cool. That's back to Diggle. It was just nice to see him.
Which
again.
I'm only a couple of episodes behind. I caught up last episode. I was on 14 something Justice
of what?
Of Batwoman.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna catch up on. I'm gonna catch up and see Diggle's first appearance.
Yeah, you should be, because I think that you're like 1 or 2 episodes. I haven't watched.
I think they only just came out with like the last episode that came out 6.
Yeah,
and I'm only a couple behind.
The last one that just aired was something like I Am Kate Kane, which brings us to our next point, which is they released a picture of Wallace Day in a some sort of like Batwoman-esque like kind of costume with her name is leaving me right now, who plays Alice. Why is it leaving me?
Rachel,
yes.
Scarston?
Yep. and dude, just looking at the picture of them two together, I'm like, Wallace Day should have been cast from the beginning.
Oh yeah, they look way more similar. They look so much more like they could be twins, you know?
Or at least fraternal twins, like really like fraternal twins. There's enough like resonance there. You can be like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I never, you just go with it, but I never bought that Ruby Rose and the woman who plays Alice Rachel were twins.
I mean, if they had done some sort of crazy plot line, where like Alice had changed her face, because that's one of her big things. We know that she kind of changed her hair and everything to kind of make her look more different. And she looked better when she was Beth Kane during the post-crisis Batwoman, where there was like two of them existing. But still, yeah, the whole and it's also crazy that they're doing this kind of interesting side story with like Kate Kane coming back on Batwoman. It's no big spoiler. I'm not going to go into all the detail. While still having the new Batwoman. And it's kind of like you could have just brought Wallace Day in and made her Kate Kane and just kind of, you didn't have to do all this with, not that I don't like the new character. It's just like I feel like you did a lot of other stuff to get to where back around, unless we're going to have two Batwomen. That'd be kind of cool though. So whatever.
Mystery of the Bat.
that is an awesome movie because it plays on like all the different variations of Golden Age, Silver Age, reboot Batwoman stuff, and kind of gives you this like hodgepodge, like it all's true kind of thing.
Yeah, so, they did do some creative things with the characterizations in that, but the story. But exactly what you said. Made the story and that character different. Yeah, that was part.
Stargirl Season 3 released its first trailer. Season 2. Why did I say? Oh, I know why I said Season 3 because the next one's Titans. Jeez.
Yes.
Listeners, I've been up a long time. I've been at the hospital all day with my daughter getting tests. She's fine. Don't worry. Just we're having some tests done because of her stomach issues. So I am just tired. But I want to record this because I did not want to watch the next episode of Superman and Lois till we had this done. So we don't mix things up or like change our opinions and thoughts on stuff. So Stargirl Season 2. Sayla was so excited that right after we watched the trailer, she took my iPad, sat down, and started watching Season 1 again.
Awesome.
Oh, also, note, I want to say this. Since, we're watching Superman and Lois, the kids watch it with me and everything, and the boys are twins, Sayla and Solomon are like, I wish we were twins. And I'm like, kids, you're about the same height. You are very similar. But your mom and I have always joked that you guys are twins, that one of you just stayed and waited for about 2 years, then decided to come out.
Right.
Okay.
Well, Jimmy and Bella, they're only 307 days apart, and they basically act like they are.
It's crazy. And I can attest to that too. I've been around as kids, and yeah, you could pass on, you could say it, and I'd be like, yeah, exactly, I see it totally.
Yeah, they could pass. Absolutely.
But the Stargirl trailer was cool. Like, it didn't really give us a whole lot. It's kind of a couple, quick cuts setting up that there's a new villain coming to town. But the big part is Green Lantern's daughter showing up, which is Jade. And we see her in the trailer, and that was where I was like, oh, Brian will be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, a few highlights from the trailer. I got Jade coming in, saw a quick shot of Thunder.
Yeah. It's so quick that
Johnny Thunder.
Thunder.
The imp comes from the pen. And we got a quick shot of him. Shade, the villain. That was his name, right? Shade?
Mm-hmm.
Is coming. And then Stargirl is all about being the hero. She doesn't want anything else in her life except being a hero. And so part of her struggle here is going to be living living a normal life, balancing a normal life, and being super, not one. That's some of the biggest points I got out of that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm looking forward to seeing, Wilson do his thing, playing Pat again.
I love
talking to her about your life doesn't end because you're a superhero. So that'll be good.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that show. It's been a great family show and something the kids and I look forward to. So
yeah, my daughter's looking season 2 Stargirl.
So now, speaking of season 3, what I was saying was Titans released their teaser trailer, and man, is it full of some Batman goodness. So we see in this teaser, we see a clip. Like it looks like from the trailer, the season's going to start with Jason going to investigate something that turns out to be the Joker and gets beaten with the crowbar. I don't think he died.
I am so happy they showed that in there.
I mean, they show like quick flashes, but it's you hear the laugh, you see like people that they're under Joker gas.
Yeah, you see a dead guy with a creepy smile. I think it was a dead Gotham. So.
That's what I thought. You see,
or maybe
like
a security guard.
You see the crow. You see like a wide shot of him getting hit with the crowbar. Later in the episode, you see the Red Hood.
Yeah, I wonder. It almost makes me wonder if the Red Hood isn't in this. The Red Hood isn't a version like kind of like Arkham Knights. He didn't die, not like the comics, like brought back by the Lazarus Pit.
I'm wondering if it's going to be something like this, where it's going to be Jason gets beat up. He's angry because nobody came to save him, or he had to do it on his own, or, whatever it was. And
I see this Jason being well, screw Batman, screw the Titans. I'm going to go take down the Joker myself, and then walks right into the trap, gets beat nearly to death.
And then when he comes back, that's when Bruce has already replaced him with Tim Drake. So he's like, fine, I'll just do my own thing, and decides to become Red Hood.
Yeah. And you know what? I see that in this being more like, we know we got Tim Drake coming in. I see that more as like Batman's trying to like do a service to this kid, to Tim Drake, kind of like he was trying to do to Jason, help him, but, Batman's way, but trying to help him. And so he's got another kid who's trying to help Jason's going to, it's me. You know what I mean? Be all butthurt about it.
Yep, just kind of like how, Dick was, but Dick wasn't butthurt,
Yeah, exactly.
We also we see a lot of quick images of the other characters. We see someone looks like they're doing the Scarecrow's drug, like an inhaler. We see, not in the trailer, but we saw EW release a wide shot picture of Barbara Gordon in her wheelchair. Let's see. We see Nightwing in a couple of shots. We see Superboy in a couple of shots. So it's just exciting that we got even that trailer. That's 2 trailers this week that we got.
Well, we got the announcement with that EW that, what was it, August 12th, I believe. It'll be a Thursday. That's when HBO Max content.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it looks like it's August 12th. They're going to drop the first 3 episodes of Titan season 3 on HBO.
Which would be really nice to have the whole 3 episodes and then kind of go from there. But we will see where that goes. And moving on. So I don't want to dwell on this too much because I feel like what do you call it? We've done this a lot. Like, I don't want to talk about a lot of like leak stuff, but screw it. Anyways, so a bunch of photos came out from behind the scenes because people were shooting outside. And first of all, it's your own fault if you don't cover stuff up. But we already speculated that a certain person was going to be returning to Smallville with Clark and Lois. And we got images of Steel. John Henry is returning in a full-on Steel uniform. And it's basically like his Stranger suit from the beginning with a few different modifications and more, silver.
And it's bright and silver as opposed to, dark and
gloomy,
grayish green.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I knew that was coming. We all did.
We assumed he was returning.
And for anybody who gets all freaked out, okay, first of all, we were talking about this. Steel. If he appears again in season 2, I think that's when you'll get more of a traditional Steel-looking armor. He'll maybe have the Superman insignia, Steel, and he might have a cape. He's not. I don't think he's not to that place yet, where he's going to embrace that side and that kind of friendship or whatever. But he's getting there. So people who are going to be all upset that he doesn't look like the comic book Steel, just give him some time, okay?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the show, and even the way Zack Snyder did his movies was it evolves.
Right.
That's the thing about the show. I mean, we've seen that in all the CW shows. Characters, costumes.
I mean, that's the whole point. Now, the thing.
Yeah, if they show up and they're the gold standard day one, then what's the point? No,
there's nowhere to go.
You know what I mean? There's very little story to tell. There's very little art for a character.
I mean, we might get a new hammer in season 2. The hammer that he has is sweet. It's a repurposed prop from Elseworlds. Chill out, people. Okay, it costs money to make these things. They cut budgets where they can, and I can show you plenty of reasons in The Flash where they repurposed Jesse Quick's suit and with what was it, Trajectory to Iris and Excess's suit. Okay, they do what they can, people. Now, the other thing in the one picture is we got to see the Kryptonian style wear that Leslie Lar is going to be wearing. And she looks pretty sweet in her outfit. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Similar to Edge's, but kind of different, but yeah.
I kind of miss, I will say, those like Kryptonian style costumes that we saw back in season 1 of Supergirl. How like Non and Astra and all theirs was. It was pretty cool. And then the last TV photo was we got 2 photos of Batwing, like really good photos of Batwing. One's him like on the street with the symbol lit up, not showing his wings. The other is him behind the scenes with cords in a green room.
Yeah.
And it looks sweet.
Yeah, the suit is looking.
Yeah, the Batwing suit, it does look really good. It is kind of cool how they're doing like more of a helmet, like a all helmet, compared to how it had been done before. So that's looking awesome. Now, that takes care of television, but we're going to skip past the movie section. We're going to jump to comics real quick. Today, me and James here got a blow. DC has announced it's going to cancel Batman Superman at issue 22. And I was like, why? That has been one of the most fun, interesting books. Like, I picked up issue 819 today. So there's only 3 more issues left. And I'm just like, why are you canceling this good book,
Yeah, it's so interesting and it's different.
To me, it was one of the few books that felt like it was really kind of embracing the infinite frontier. I thought the whole point of the infinite frontier was where, maybe my Batman Superman team up looks actually like Golden Age or an alternate Earth or, something like that, where it was a little bit more than just standard stuff. But
yeah, because everything since the Infinite Frontier is picked up, I mean, it's been wholly unique. Like the worlds that they've explored, they're new,
And I guess I expected more. Like, I would love to experience like a title in Infinite Frontier. It's like Superman, blah blah blah, and it's just about like old Golden Age Superman, like a modernization of like old Golden Age, or like a title that each issue is like an anthology or something, where it's like Tales of the Infinite Frontier or something, and each book is like a different Earth or world or whatever, So it just bums me out. And which brings me to, I've really been digging my DC, Infinite's app. I do get bummed where certain things I go to look for aren't there that you think would be there, or they don't have full collections, or some of the grouping is kind of a pain. Like when I reread all of the Hell on Earth series, like it didn't have all the issues like in an order to where after I couldn't put Hell on Earth and then just read like that as a grouping story arc. It had the issues, but I had to like jump around to try to figure out the order that they were in.
They don't have that as a story arc on there anymore. I know they used to.
No, they don't. Unlike how you can pick certain things, so it was a little annoying. Just want to throw that out there because that was it just kind of sucked. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that is a little disappointing. I know that certain books, they haven't scanned every single book that's out there, so they're not all. Everything isn't digital yet. Like 100% of DC's history, it's library. So
sure.
there are missing comics, like go back Detective Action or something.
Yeah.
And you gum all the way, you're not going to find all 1,000 comics, each one on there, not all digital.
Which is a bummer.
It is. But I mean, like I'm still going through Convergence because I'm reading. Well, I went to the storyline, and I went to the Convergent storyline. And there's like 89 books or something. But that's because there's so many tie-ins from all of the different
Earths and worlds and times. Yeah.
Exactly. So there are so many. And there's a lot that are quite interesting, but then there are some that's just a repeat of what they did before, of what another book did before. The same characters or even different characters. So once in a while, it's like, man, I just got to get back to the Convergence main book and read another issue of that and get some more of the story before I go back reading some other ones. So it's taking a while.
The other thing is, I don't know why, like they did the DC digital exclusives and stuff. I don't know why they don't move over those and something and do DC Infinite digital exclusives. Like a series or a book that's like got some of the best writers or whatever. And it's just on DC Infinite.
The only book that I know of offhand right now, I mean, there are the digital firsts are a lot of the digital firsts are coming to Infinite, so you don't have to wait 6 months for those. Those come when they're released. So you get the digital first for free. But the Batman Fortnite, those are every week that those are released. You can get them. You can read those on UC University. I haven't read any yet.
Yeah, I'm
I've
not
seen
going to read them, but
right.
But you know, I mean, something like anytime you do, like, it's great to have this resource, you know. And the more I think about, like, I just think about, like, you want people to subscribe to your thing, so you want to give them all that content, but something new that they can only get there is always a bonus, you know, original content. And the other thing is, it feels like because of this, I've kind of started to slow down my desire to find certain back issues. But there's still some that I want to have. But at the same time, I'm like, I can read on Infinite. Like, but
I understand.
You know, because like there's certain things like, oh, I could buy that, but I'm like, yeah, but would I come back to it as much? You know, if I, and then you're just like, I can read on Infinite. All right, so here's the big ones. Okay, it was a crazy time for the movies, the DC movies. We'll start with the little one. So good old Shazam, David Sandberg. Gotta love David Sandberg. Okay, there was another DC movie leak, and David Sandberg is like, you know what? Before we get crappy behind the scenes photos, how about I just send you out a photo of everybody in their new costume that I took that's good? And he tweeted out a photo of the Shazam family in their new suits, and they look awesome.
Oh yeah, they all fantastic. The new suits are so good. They're great. They don't look as soft. Don't tough. You know, texture looks really good. They're more form fitting. I think everybody has gotten shape for their roles. Like,
I mean, they look great, and they've changed up a little bit. Like, okay, starting with the blue, a little darker blue, and it's silver. You know, he's got silver boots and like gauntlets, and I wish I could see them all more in def, like higher def, but there's more silver in the gray Shazam.
Yeah, Eugene.
Eugene's. Mm-hmm. And the purple's neat because I like how the girls are definitely unique because they're a little bit different, period. Both of them are. Like, Darla's, you know, has like more of a boot with like laces, and its pants and the sides are done almost like a speedster look. You know, and like we saw in the movie, her run real fast, and like her gauntlet.
Yeah, she was like more of the epitome of speed power.
And she has like short sleeves, and like the way her belt, both females' belts dip a little bit more. But then we'll skip over to Mary Marvel, and she has the gold gauntlets. Her boots are more reminiscent, looking more like Wonder Woman's, and like she has a high collar, which is kind of neat on her neck. And then she has long sleeves and a skirt, and her skirt looks sweet the way they did it. And then the green Pedro, he has like a darker green and more silver in his costume. And all
yeah, you know, people
capes.
were complaining about this shot because certain people shared it. I don't know if they did, but I mean, it's darker, but in some shots, his suit looks black.
It's just dark.
Pedro's. But the actor did a selfie shot him in the suit, and you can see that it's just the lighting.
DJ Catrona, who was supposed to be Superman at one time.
Right.
I still think that's hilarious. I figured that out when I was watching the movie. Like, oh my gosh, there's two actors right here who are supposed to be in Justice League Mortal. But I do like, you know, there's no hood this time. The capes are longer. And that's cool. You know, it also gives you an idea of what possibly the Black Adam suit's going to look like. Because, you know, we know it's filming right now, and it should have a similar vibe to these suits because it is like the missing color scheme of the suits. So,
yeah. It's funny you say that about David Sandberg, you know, putting it out there like before we get behind the scenes shots, you know, like we're going to talk about coming up, like Barbara Muschietti even put out there, don't share behind the scenes shots. It's like, you're shooting outdoors. You know that this is going to happen. Why don't you get ahead of it? Like, David Sandberg knows what's up. You know?
Like, I mean, they did that.
Like, Zack Snyder you don't get these shots of Zack Snyder movies because it's all on green screen. It's under controlled environments.
Yeah.
It's not out on the street.
The only ones we ever really got, but I think when we got these, it was after there was already like the official like reveal photos. Was like the one of Henry and BVS like on wires when he comes down to with Lois. And it's just him in the air, and then there was one where he had like his black robe thingy on walking to set.
Yeah,
we had the one Zach Levi shot, behind the scenes, and then they put out that little video. But I mean, anytime I feel like if you're going to go film outside, okay, you should already have shots ready to release of your character that are the real shots, because then you're going to have this type of fandom reaction. Because, I mean, do you remember when the pictures of Richard Citrone as Batman in Suicide Squad appeared, where he was in like the stunt suit, on top of the car?
He was on top of the car, yeah.
And, and that's what people see, and they start like ripping things apart. Just like we got the stunt suit of the guy on the motorcycle for the Batman when it was filming, and then we saw the trailer later. You know what I'm saying? So I just think if you know you're going to be outside and something's going to get spoiled and revealed in this day and age, like, you need to get ahead of it. You need to go ahead and release a good shot. The other one was we got to see a picture of Zach Levi as Shazam with Helen Mirren in her full costume. So that was pretty cool. It's
which that was an outdoor shot. That's behind the scenes pictures. Mm-hmm. It's not an official released image. They're shooting out. They know people are going to see. I mean, they were really just caring about people aren't like Helen Mirren. She doesn't have a comic. She doesn't have a comic counterpart.
Right.
So people aren't going to be comparing. Yeah, people aren't going to be comparing it to what does it look like? What's it look like to the comic? What's it going to look like to the other suits we've seen other characters wear in this universe, quote unquote? Like, yeah. Sometimes I don't get what they're doing, It just seems like another misstep.
I would get ahead of this, and like, hey, this is what the official, just like when the Comic-Con trailer of Suicide Squad leaked years ago, they went ahead and just released it online. So people weren't looking at this grainy, crappy version and passing it and sharing it and talking about it. And I kind of expected something similar to happen soon, but we haven't got that. So with that said, The Flash. So first of all, they released kind of a shot of the chest logo of what the new Flash suit's supposed to look like. And it looks pretty sweet. That was Andrew on his Instagram releasing that, so it was official. And that was cool. Like, it's just brighter red, looks more, I don't know, what'd you say, durable, stronger?
It looks like a different material, or less armored, less restrictive. But it's just a chest shot. And then that's the same thing we got for. That's the same thing we got for Batman. Batman. They just released the chest shot, and then the same thing we got from Sasha Calle's Supergirl. It's just a chest shot.
And those are all on Andy's, Instagram. So those are official, and so with that being said, the other thing, because I'm holding one part off to the end. So they're shooting outdoors too. And we got to see a bunch of behind the scenes photos. And the one we're going to say, so we see Ezra Miller as Barry Allen in his like a gray suit, and on his finger is the Flash ring. That was one of the big things is he's got the flash ring. The other thing is we saw a behind-the-scenes shot of Michael Keaton in the crowd on the set, and like a behind-the-head shot of him talking to Ezra.
and a very very expensive car on which he must show.
Yeah.
That's a very expensive, probably a concept car, like they do a lot of cars. It could very well be an street luxury car.
I mean, yeah, it could be. And then, so we got those. So we know that that's filming, like, and those are the kind of behind the scenes pics. Like, oh, that's cool. They're not really showing too much. And then, of course, like you said, we got the Supergirl symbol. Now, what's neat from Instagram, looking at the Instagram, the blue bodysuit with a red top, because the shoulders are red, the upper half of the symbol on the bodysuit's red. The symbol is very reminiscent of the Cavill BVS, except the tip of the shield kind of flicks up more, and it has a little bit of a difference, like a little difference in the tail end, which gives a little bit, of a different kind of flavor to it, which I thought was neat.
Yeah, there's minor differences to the gaps of the shield to the letter and things like that. But the interesting thing is there is the Kryptonian writing across the center of the S,
yes,
across the large center portion of the S that they added into Cavill's BVS suit.
Exactly.
That wasn't there in Man of Steel.
No, it wasn't. It's the Joseph Campbell quote that they put in BVS, which, first of all, having that style is interesting if they're trying to distance themselves from Cavill's Superman. If they're trying to move away from him and, we're not going to use that anymore, we're done with that, it's interesting how much influence they're using for Supergirl. So, without further ado, the big reveal was we saw a behind-the-scenes shot of Sasha as Supergirl outdoors, and it's a stunt. It's
mostly on wires.
It's all on wires. And first of all, I say this: it's a stunt, which means the costumes a lot of times are made a little different and altered because they're made to for the stunt. You see the wires, the harness hookup, and everything. There was a great photo that was shared of the stunt person in the Black Panther stunt suit compared to the final shot of the movie in that same scene. Just telling people, stop criticizing the new suit, the look, or whatever when it's a behind-the-scenes stunt photo. Okay?
People make up their mind when they see the font of what the title is going to be, and the entire movie's going to suck. So, what are you going to do?
So, it's just people were talking about the weird abs on her suit. Okay? And I was like, well, in some shots, yeah, they're kind of weird, but it looks like they're a little puffier. Probably, for protection because of the stunt and maybe how the harness wiring and rigging work.
Yeah, I think it's probably something inside the suit that actually helped for her stay a little more erect while being up on the wires, because we've seen some shots of her, Instagram shots, that type of stuff. Social media shots, and she's a very petite, and the core of the suit, the hips and the abdominal area of the suit is all thicker, and for a reason, because it's a stunt suit. because there's a harness inside of that suit that they can hook on and lift her up.
Exactly. There was a very crude video from like a far distance of her, what do you call it, like in that same scene, but having a cape where it's a legit cape. Because, of course, like the stunt shot, the cape is going to be CG, digital. So it's not in there, you know. And the suit. Oh, wait, one more thing before I forget. Dang it, Tyler. I hate when I do this. Big rumor is that Grant Gustin was spotted on the set of The Flash. And if you notice, I pointed this out to you and Brian, that the Flash TV series, his symbol, and the Flash, Ezra Miller right now, their symbols are starting to look very much the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, big thing was Grant was spotted on set. Now, back to Sasha.
Yeah. I like, so some of the images that we've seen, like, there's an image from behind where she's up in the air. Mm-hmm. And you can see, like, along the back, neckline down to the back of the shoulders, and, like, literally the anterior part of the shoulder, all the way on the back side, not over the shoulder, like a Batman or even some Superman capes look like. Mm-hmm. It looks like this entire cape is going to be on the back side of the costume. There is not going to be any cape that wraps around over the shoulders or over the neck or tucked into a collar or anything like that. It's like on the back side.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. We've seen that in comic book iterations of Supergirl and stuff. And I think mostly the version that we speculate she might even be playing.
So yeah, that's what I was going to get to. So they cut her hair. It is basically black, and everyone's speculating that she's Laura Lane Kent, because she looks a lot like the Laura Lane Kent comic book character. And there's a great, if you go follow Tom Taylor, he tweeted out a picture of Sasha next to the drawing, and it is basically what you expect, like the same thing, to be.
Yeah, yeah. Short, dark hair. The suit is extremely reminiscent, except for the red down the arm instead of just over the shoulders. But I even, what was it Brian sent earlier? Or did I see it on social media? Yeah, I saw it on Twitter, I believe. Somebody was saying that Tom Taylor. Oh, now I'm blanking. That's frustrating.
It happens.
It was basically somebody saying that Tom Taylor didn't know what he was talking about, or they said, have you read an Injustice comic, Tom Taylor? I was like, are you kidding me?
Tom Taylor wrote them.
Yeah, like, and literally specifying that character, that Kryptonian character, he created her.
Exactly.
He created her, and somebody was asking if he read an Injustice comic.
People are dumb.
The author, and he created that character. Like, pure ignorance. People just spew out of the mouth on the internet without any thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sad, but that's what happens. So let's get back real quick. The costume is pretty much, like you said, the red up top, and then after that, it's just blue. For the rest down, it is solid blue. And, you know, she's getting a lot of criticism for her look and everything, and her characterization. And I'm not saying anything until I actually see the performance. The solid blue is kind of weird. Like, they give it texture and style, and like I kind of referenced like going and looking at the Superman suit that was in Shazam, where it used like the red highlights and the little bit of the gold in the suit. I hope that maybe her final costume will have that kind of in there, kind of spread out, so it's not just this solid blue bottom. And I do think it's kind of weird, because some people are used to like Kara Supergirl and who Supergirl is. And I do think it's just kind of interesting if she is Laura Lane Kent, and is she on the Earth with the Michael Keaton Batman? And this is a version of like the Injustice-esque Earth or future Superman's daughter or whatever. But my thing is... Go ahead. No, I was going to say...
You were saying that... you were saying, a version... I think it would be really that if they use that character, but this isn't Injustice. Superman is a bad guy. This is more like an Earth where Laura Lane Kent was created, not a dream as she was in that version, but more of a world where Superman was and now she is. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I do know what you mean. And so, I guess my biggest thing is you're going to do this really
without the killing.
Yeah, you're going to do this really off the wall niche style Supergirl. Okay, but this is the Supergirl you're going to carry over in more movies. So not the one that everyone knows. Like this is the one that's supposed to like get her own movie, have her own story. So what is her background? If it's supposed to be Superman's daughter, is it still supposed to be his cousin? Like, so I'm just kind of like indifferent at the moment to see what they do, because I feel like it's just to me like this is the one you're going to carry on with. She's supposed to get her own movie. She's supposed to do this, like, and we're not supposed to get Superman. So it's just kind of like, all right, where are you going to go with this? And is it supposed to be like Cavill and Amy Adams' child kind of thing, like that Superman and Lois, or what? So, I mean, that's my biggest kind of thought process is you're creating this new kind of, and I was like, does that mean that they're trying to test the waters with alternate versions of characters so that when they introduce maybe a Val Zod or Calvin Ellis Superman, people are a little bit more open to alternative world of these characters because they've, done this Supergirl? I don't know. That's just me speculating, and all that back to say they should have done an official release after this weekend of her in costume. Cape and all, full costume, finished product, so that people aren't sharing these photos and talking about this.
Yeah. They, especially when the producer comes out and says, please don't share these behind-the-scenes photos. Doesn't represent the final product. This and that. Like,
then go ahead and give us a real photo to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't have to be this overly. It doesn't have to be this overly done CW reveal photo, but
100% Photoshop.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of CW, real quick, we're going to circle one quick back around. That photo I was talking about, that behind the scenes, if you really look at it, you can tell they've made some adjustments to Tyler's costume, or he's filled out more into it because, like, his wrist gauntlet things fit better, and it definitely looks like there's less padding in his chest and shoulders. Now, the suit looks much better on him. Just give me a 3D S, like that big rubber S you had from your last costume, and we're golden, bro.
Yeah.
And the last thing, today, right before we went to record this, they released the new trailer for The Suicide Squad. And some people are freaking out because it says trailer 3. And I'm like, technically it is, if you think about like the kind of behind the scenes trailer thing we got at Fandom. So yeah, this is the final trailer. It comes out in 2 months, basically. It's almost July. It comes out in August.
I know, so fast.
This summer's going by quick. Summer's weird. We're about to do our second Suicide Squad review commentary here soon. It'll be on our YouTube channel.
Our first one unreleased.
Our first one's unreleased because of technical problems. like the disc skipped twice, the internet went out once, my daughter went crazy, and we just said we're gonna finish watching it and never release this. I still have the audio file, but yeah, it is crazy to me. This came out and people are freaking out. And first of all, let's go to the trailer, then I'll talk about the controversy. Okay, so trailer. It was cool. It was a good trailer. I didn't feel it had some cool energy, but I didn't feel the fun vibe as much as I did in the previous one. Like the song choice was really weird. It didn't gel with me as much.
Well, it did have a bit more of the serious tone because, I mean, even though it's going to be obviously a comedy, it's still like end of the world, and all of these people are killers, and everybody they're going against are killers. I mean, yeah. I mean, it is weird.
So I liked it. I mean, I'm excited for it. It looks fun. Like, I like that we got to see a little bit more of how the team, and we speculated like who gets killed off when, maybe what, but we saw a lot more of like the team together at different times. So maybe it's kind of reversed than what we thought about everyone getting killed off at the beginning. Maybe they'll get killed off at the end. Kind of like how that was a giant-sized X-Men starts, where like the whole team disappears and it's just like Cyclops that makes it back. That has to lead the new X-Men back to that crazy island. See, I know some Marvel stuff, people. It had some funny moments. It talked a little bit more about the past history of Bloodsport, which is cool, but it feels like, and I hate saying this, but it's like same beats watered down what we saw with Deadshot. I'm not saying it's going to be the exact same, but, his daughter in trouble, Waller using his daughter to make him do things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm just like, okay. We see Project Starfish. And I think it's interesting that here we are with the Suicide Squad again, and they're going up against something crazy. And this time it's Starro. We knew that from the last trailer. And because we get a shot that's cool of King Shark like fighting Starro.
Yeah. I mean, the difference here is like, this is like a physical battle,
Mm-hmm.
Even though Starro has the abilities that it does, and it's a giant creature, it still is a physical battle that they're going to be fighting for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't a supernatural being that they can punch, or that they supposedly punch.
That they have to talk down to.
Yeah.
So it looks great, but here's the controversy part, is people are freaking out and angry because Bloodsport mentions Bloodsport shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet and put him in the ICU. And people are going off saying that it discounts Zack Snyder's Justice League. It does this, like that is, and I'm just like, wow. Like, first of all, Superman's been shot with kryptonite bullets in the comics. So he's stabbed with kryptonite, period. Okay?
I can probably count on one hand at least 5 different times Superman shot the kryptonite in comics, cartoons, television, and animation. And animated
Public
movies.
Enemies, Doom. If you just want to throw out 2 animated movies right there.
Smallville.
Okay? He was stabbed with a kryptonite shank in Superman Returns. So my only question is, because they said that from the beginning, that's why Bloodsport, was where he was. My only question is, when did that happen? It had to happen post Justice League. And either way you look at it, either Justice League movie, it still could happen. So, people are.
It just recently happened to Tyler on Superman and Lois.
Yeah, He got shot with like some kryptonite weapons in the shoulder, and ripped them out and screaming. Amazing. Kryptonite gas. So I'm just like, people need to calm down. Okay? It doesn't discount anything, because if you look at where technically both versions of Justice League end the same way, with Superman flying off in the sky. Okay?
Right.
So, and like I've said all along, I've said this all along to people. In my headcanon, because of how they're doing stuff, Zack Snyder's Justice League happened, then Crisis happened, because Ezra Miller was in Crisis. Okay? Showed the DC Universe continuity. Now, all the other movies, regular Justice League, Birds of Prey, Aquaman, Shazam, all that to now is post-Crisis. So that's how
Might as well, you know what I mean?
That's just how I look at it.
If it makes it easier.
Because, because I said before, like, why didn't Birds of Prey end with a post-credit scene of Harley getting arrested by Amanda Waller? So it kind of makes me wonder where she'll get picked up in the movie from her Birds of Prey part. But, yeah. Anyways, that trailer was cool. I enjoyed it. I think John Cena is going to be awesome in that movie. I think he's going to be the funniest part in that movie. Because everything he says is so awesome, like, and straight-faced. Like that you believe it. Like, yeah, all right. So I'm really excited to see that movie.
Right.
The kids are both dumb because it's rated R.
Yeah. I thought the weasel bit was funny. What kind of dog is he? You're a werewolf, aren't you? God, you're sitting next to a werewolf?
He's a weasel, and he's not dangerous. I mean, he did eat 27 kids, but,
Right. Yeah, he ate 27 children, but...
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Superman and Lois. Breathe.
The thing I liked about the release of the trailer today, though, was so the actors, right? The actors are the people who shared it because James Gunn shared it to them, but they're all like, every single one of them is like, well, you're not supposed to see this, but I'm going to share it anyways. And then James Gunn put a little laughing thing on his Twitter too, like, I can't believe they would do this. You know what I mean? Like, it was planned out to be that way, but it's a funny release. You know what I mean?
It is, because I even went to their official Suicide Squad Twitter. It wasn't there, and then I just went to YouTube and it was there. So
yeah. The way they released it was really, I liked it.
Are you ready? Hey, it's Tyler. I just wanted to say, if you're enjoying the Superman podcast, check out some of our other favorite Superman-based podcasts. We have the Inspiring Kryptonians, The Last Sons of Krypton, a new one that I discovered called Digging for Kryptonite, which is a great, great podcast, as well as my good friend Zach over at Always Hold On to Smallville, Luke, Bug, the Geek of Steel at the Geek of Steel podcast, and of course my brother from another mother, Mr. Phil Parrish, over on Capes and Lunatics, who is the master of all things podcasting. So just check those out and enjoy. And we're back. Yep, that's right. We're back with Superman and Lois. And James, I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, mother, where art thou? That's right. We're talking about Superman and Lois Season 1, Episode 10. Oh, mother, where art thou? And there's no singing Soggy Bottom Boys. So it's kind of sad. Just throwing that out there. But I do like, this episode picks up right where the last one stopped, where it's Kal-El talking to Morgan Edge. And I'll probably call him Edge, just to kind of keep myself straight. But we find out, basically, his name is Tal Rowe. He's the son of Laura Vaughn, and Zeta Rowe. And Laura was with Tal first. They were bonded. And I kind of think it fits with the themes and ideas of the TV show Krypton, where, Seg was supposed to be with Nyssa, and he wanted Lyta, and they kind of revamped, like, Jor-El's origin and Zod's origin with Seg. I feel like they've kind of done that with Laura on this show. Because in Krypton, the show, they made that Jor-El, and they never mentioned Zor-El, which always bothers me when they do that, but Zod.
Well, was Zor-El the older brother?
Technically, Jor-El's the older brother, but then a couple
No,
comics.
that's what I meant.
Zor-El.
I mean, I got it back. Zor-El, younger brother, so he's not born. There we go.
But
I said it backward.
but they just never mention him that much. You know what I'm saying? And
right. No, they didn't.
But in Krypton, the show, they find out that Jor-El and Zod are half brothers because of Seg. And, it's interesting because they didn't get to finish that storyline of when and how and what. But, at the end of Krypton is when he names Jor-El and how they binded Nyssa and Seg together. And that's kind of how I felt about this whole Tal-Rho and Laura thing. And I kind of got the same kind of vibe that maybe Tyler Clark, Superman, was in kind of the same Man of Steel style where maybe he was a natural birth, because of Laura and Jor-El's love and how they defied the Kryptons, That's kind of the vibe I was getting with just the whole quick history. And
yeah, that we get from Laura, and get how we achieve that.
Yes. So once again, this is post-crisis, so things can happen. We see that Morgan Edge calls himself the first son of Krypton to arrive. And I'm kind of go through here my notes here and just kind of go in order. It starts off, like I said, right where the last one ends. And it's nighttime back at the farmhouse, which made me question, where did Clark and Edge meet? But whatever. Kyle gets arrested right out of the house.
They look like they're at the Grand Canyon flying around.
I mean, they do. And I feel like in one way, like, this is like a way to do Zod without doing Zod. Like, you don't want to use Zod again, so you create this new character, call him Superman's brother, and like, oh, it's different. But it's the same kind of plan. I'm going to destroy Earth to rebuild Krypton.
Yeah.
But we don't want to use Zod, so we'll create this new character. Of course, this is the first. Clark comes back, tells his family, which I thought was great that he came back and told his family first before going to the fortress. And, he goes to the fortress to find out, is this possible? And, of course, talks to AI Jor-El, who gives him a story. And, AI Jor-El basically mentions that Laura wanted to preserve Krypton, and this was the way she was doing it, while he was doing it the way that he preserved his consciousness mind in the fortress. We learned that Clark's ship as a baby had a stone from his mother, but it was taken by Tal as revenge when Clark was...
Zeta, when
Tal's
Laura left Zeta for Jor-El.
So that was interesting, I thought. Just kind of... Also that the devices that are used for the consciousness are called eradicators. I think the Eradicator is like the most misunderstood, misused of the four Supermen.
Right. I do like they were able to incorporate in this what they call Eradicator, where consciousness are.
Mm-hmm.
The Eradicator is designed to protect Krypton and to protect the history and people of Krypton.
Yep.
And that's exactly what this device is. It's not the embodiment. It's not a character like you've seen in the comics and stuff. But that's exactly what this device is. They call it the Eradicator, and it's used for the purpose of what the Eradicator was designed.
I thought, like I said, I thought it was neat, because the Eradicators get changed and used, but the essence of what you just described is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Lois, like the next scene after I wrote it in my notes, Lois shows up and uses green kryptonite on Kyle when he's freaking out, and that's when he got arrested by the Department of Defense. The other big thing I put in here was Dabney Donovan which was interesting because I just rewatched Death and Return of Superman, where Dabney Donovan is the scientist working at Cadmus who helps make Superboy. So when they said his name,
I knew I heard that name before.
So when they said his name, I was like, oh, I like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Oh, point at the screen.
Right. Yeah, right. Pointing at the screen.
So we see Kyle in the cage, and I thought to myself, why didn't they have any more of that gas? Because that would have been perfect to like give all those Kryptonian people that gas, you know, the kryptonite gas, so that when Clark had to face them or whatever, or they had to face them, they were weak. But guess there was no more. I guess last week they used it all.
Right. Well, you know, just like Batman, they had it's like the limited number of names.
So here's my big question about this episode. Okay? 1, how does Edge not know that Clark Kent is Superman?
Yeah, that I'm not sure.
Because I thought for sure that he was going to kind of play it off like I've known all along type thing. With, you know, the Smallville connection. Clark moved here. Lois is here. You know, knowing about kryptonite, his power, if he... And part of me, I'll tell you right now, part of me still, okay, slightly feels that maybe there's a twist coming. That maybe Edge isn't exactly who he says it is, in the sense that maybe he's a Kryptonian consciousness. He's not actual physically the person he says he is. That maybe it is Leslie more in charge or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there and speculating, because there's some things like the whole fact that Edge has been so close to both Clark Kent and Lois and hasn't pieced it together if he is Kryptonian too.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, we do have the thing that Leslie is somebody else from Krypton, so we know she's a conscious. She's not.
Dude, we're talking about comic stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, we, you know, even comic stuff, and even how super scientific it is, you know, got to make some sort of sense.
Oh, I know. So, with that same moment, I thought for sure, because of what happens, that Clark was going to tell Lana that he's Superman. Because Lana shows up with Lois, and she goes, oh my God, there he is. And it's Superman in person, right? And I thought for sure that he was going to talk to her and tell her. Because so what we find out is they're going to put the consciousness of Clark's mom,
Laura Lavon,
into a person, and they need a volunteer. They need someone. They got to find somebody from Smallville. Lana volunteers. Okay. She makes a good point. She's accepting, because they do talk about that the host has to be accepting, which we've said that all along. Okay. She wants to do it, not only for her family, her friends, for her husband, you know, and everything.
Right. Which makes sense as to why Morgan Edge has been putting on this big show, trying to make people better. They're willing to do this. Right. They're willing to accept this process, and so it's a show pony. It's all for show. So right. That way they'll be willingly going through this process.
And that's what we talked about, like why the whole like program is, because the willingness aspect to get the consciousness to stay, because basically they have to wait for it to settle before it's cemented. Because Laura says it could take days, weeks, whatever, depending on the host and its reception. Okay, so all this to think about. Okay, first of all, there's could be some Oedipus issues here. Okay, if you're putting your mom into the woman you used to love's body. Just saying. I mean, they played it straight. They played it well, but just saying that could have been weird. Second, like I said, I think this would have been a great opportunity for Clark to kind of tell Lana that he's Superman. And it would have opened up a whole lot about their past.
one of the things I'm curious about these people, the human consciousness that's inside of them before it's eradicated. Like, is it hidden and unaware, or do they ever have memories of what's happened? So in that case, she would know. Lana would know from the conversation that Superman had with mother that he's Clark, that he's married to Lois, and that he has kids. You know what I mean? It would give her that insight into the whole thing.
Exactly. It is interesting because I put these consciousness, okay, if we think about Smallville, when they did this kind of thing on Smallville, where they had the Kandorians, they were basically like clones from the Kandorians at a certain time period. When were these consciousness like saved or created? Because when Lara emerges, she right away knows Kal-El. You know, she says Kal-El. And I'm like, okay, so when was this consciousness created? The other part is, how do you know what consciousness you're selecting to put in a person? Is there like a names of list of people and you just press a button like, give me Laura Vaughn? You know?
Right. Well, because Dabney Donovan talked about how he hardly knows how the machine works because it's alien technology.
And that's why they needed to find Laura, the person who created it. I do like when they do make Laura more of a part of things where she actually has a purpose compared to just being the person who gave birth to Clark, Superman.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So all this is fun and games. And here's another question for you. So we see like Morgan Edge telling about his landing. He landed in England, that's why he's British. And he talks about them holding him. How did they hold him? Because we see him use heat vision and kill people. How'd they put him in a cell? You know, and was there kryptonite? He never says. They used kryptonite or they discovered kryptonite or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we see him escape. So I was kind of like,
Right. They hunt him down. I mean, so like the first time he emerges from the ship, it's daytime, standing there and he's getting some sun on. And he turns around and heat visions the guy who got that shot. Then when they're chasing him down, it's at nighttime. Almost wondering if, like, since he's so young and just arrived on the planet, that direct sunlight exposure, like, powered him up. But, like, in the evening, at night, maybe he's less powerful. You know? He's younger, less strong, that type of stuff. They were able to capture him and keep him out of the sunlight.
Kind of like Flashpoint Superman.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
That's the only thing I can really think of as to why it would, especially since he heat visioned that guy right away.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, it's just little things. I'm nitpicking, but at the same time, I'm studying for clues. There's some really great lines about Superman, like holding on to hope. And Jordan even says it, and we'll get there, about being an optimist and everything. But we'll get to the kids here in a moment. I just kind of wanted to go through the main part. We're running a little long because we had so much stuff to cover.
Yeah.
So basically, we have Edge, meet with Kal-El and activates every one of the Kryptonians to come to him. And what we find out is Laura can reprogram the Eradicator to basically reverse the consciousness, but they would need a power source more powerful than the sun. And what we get is all of a sudden everyone in Smallville flies up there's a lot of people, a lot more than we knew, had, Kryptonian consciousnesses in them to Kal. He swoops in, takes the Eradicator, and basically goes solar flare. Powers it, and when Morgan Edge realizes what's going on, he says no, and he flies back. Which he flies down and flies back, which was an indication to me that maybe something's up with him, because, as we saw, Clark was not affected by this explosion, other than going solar flare, you know. And Leslie wasn't there. Edge had told her to stay back. So you would think, okay, if he realized what Clark was doing, he would have flew faster straight at him to stop him. But no, he fell back as the others went forward. So that was something to me, feeling maybe he's a consciousness.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's something to think about. I mean, you know, he definitely wanted everyone to stop about the army in that moment.
But then here's my question to you. Because we saw them like an explosion, they lose their powers. And the next like scene is we see people like getting up like all crazy. Do they all just fall out of the sky? Like,
that's the curious thing. That's like the curious thing.
Because Superman, we see where Clark ends up flying to the fortress and almost makes it inside. Okay? Because I thought, you know, solar flare, usually when we see it, like the Kryptonian Supergirl or Superman in the comics or whatever, just falls wherever they're at. But he had enough power left to fly off. And we see at the end of the episode, Leslie Lar with Edge basically saying, all is not lost. And that's the high points of the episode.
That was the big thing. That was the big thing I was wondering, like these people should have at this point fallen out of the sky, all of them to their deaths, probably. But everybody wakes up on the ground, and then, you know, Superman just pulled solar flare and it's supposed to be depowered, but still made it to Fortress.
So my first thought is, that was like this episode. What I like is this episode was really quick. Like, it was a lot, but I feel like on any other superhero-based show, this would have been like at least 2 episodes, maybe 3. They would have drugged this out. You would have had like Lara like walking around the Kent farm, getting to meet the boys, you know, or, you know what I'm saying, like in the cave, the fortress cave, the cave of solitude where I live. But this whole big Kryptonian conscious thing is wrapped up pretty much. I mean, for the most part, it seems like. This was episode 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have 5 more episodes. You know, 11 airs tonight. And then we're going to take a break.
As recording.
We're going to take a break and come back sometime because we know when the last episode airs in August. Like, what, the 17th it is? Right? Because the 24th is Supergirl's return. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be taking a break for a little bit. Now, one thing I've noticed is naming Kryptonians is a lot like naming Jedi. Tal Rho, Zeta Rho sound like Jedi names, okay? Just throw that out there. The other thing is Superman and Lois is a show that I feel is designed by people who know the character, know the way to do it, but it's also like Superman's greatest hits. Like we said before, like they took the best from the previous Reeve era, Dean Cain errors, and the Cavill stuff, and are mixing it in a blender and are creating what we're seeing to make basically the best possible version of the character.
Yeah, which is something we had said they did with Krypton, mixing so many of mythologies to develop the show Krypton.
That's why I want the Krypton to tie into this show. And I'm still saying that this show takes place after Supergirl ends in a linear fashion. Still saying that.
The one thing I'm curious about before we come back to the show is Bitsy Tulloch posted a picture of her, the actress who plays Kelly, in Supergirl. So are we going to get a little crossover before it's over? Or reference or mention or something?
I feel personally, I have nothing but that maybe at the end of Supergirl, there'll be like a little kind of cameo of them there.
Right, Superman and Lois kind of just there.
Yeah, like
or
for
showing up.
however the Supergirl storyline ends, like we've speculated, she goes off into the future to be with
Right.
Mon-El and the Legion or whatever.
Yeah, like a happy send-off, farewell party.
That's kind of where because I mean, we got to think that COVID affected everything. You know, like what they already had this planned out, but then the way things were going to air and order. So that's my just kind of thought. I'm looking forward to when Diggle shows up to kind of help me use that to help piece what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
So jumping back into the characters, this definitely the children of Jonathan, Jordan, and Sarah, especially the twins, take more of a back seat in this episode. But the big thing we get is Jonathan is very much about telling the truth.
Yes, I did like Jonathan in this episode.
And that's something that I love because he gets that from like both his parents. And, you know, he tells Sarah, like, hey, your dad's under mind control. Something crazy's going on. That's why our grandpa is here. And we're going to prove it to you. And they take it. And I like what Jonathan says to his grandpa. Calls him out on some stuff. And they show Sarah where Kyle is. And that Kyle's not Kyle. Which helps Sarah get over the fact that she was yelling at her father for being drunk. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get the great line from Jordan about holding on to hope. And it was just really good. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because she says that's why you guys have been so like dodgy about stuff and missing things, that you guys knew about this because of your grandpa. And they're like, yes, which isn't a lie.
Is how.
It's not a lie. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of blended in there. But it's nice that, you know, this is getting resolved. It helps build that trust issue that Sarah had with Jordan, and then helps bring their families back together. I know we kind of rushed through it a little bit more than we liked, but we're going long, and, you know, we got to get up for our lives as people. So any final thoughts, James?
You know, just some weird things that happened in this episode. I was kind of like, kind of had me just questioning. Like, it's like, okay, that's something just weird for CW. You know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, it was a really good episode. I think it was very effective. I like the way that they brought Laura in. I like the way that they, you know, kind of stayed true to what we talked about for the Eradicator,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because the Eradicator is a machine. Like, it's a Kryptonian construct. It's not like a being.
Exactly. Yeah, I think my favorite version of the Eradicator has been the Death of Superman cartoon. Like, it just, they found a way to like kind of streamline it, because I feel like if you just look at the comics, it's very convoluted, and it's kind of stayed a little bit more convoluted in the comics. So
Yeah, because even in the New 52, they had an Eradicator that shows up when planets are about to die.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, something completely different and awesome. But I mean, I don't know. It was a good episode, and it is, and it kind of wrapped up, like you said, it wrapped up storyline that we've been dealing with. I like this show because they're not dragging out. They got 15 episodes to tell a story or tell stories, and they're giving them just the time it needs.
yeah,
And not too much.
what do you call it? I feel like it's the perfect of long storytelling meets the regular serialized storytelling. So it's just enough of taking your time, but it's also just enough to where I don't feel like I'm like, there were times when we watched Doom Patrol where I was like, okay, this feels like you're dragging this, like you're stretching it. Like I'm losing interest because I understand the long story, but this is getting to be too much. And I feel like this is just perfectly paced, and with the way that it feels like a streaming show, with the way that it ends and the next episode picks up exactly where the last episode ended.
Yeah.
Even if that scene isn't really long, it picks up that beat and runs with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's been very good for the storytelling. Like, as opposed to Doom Patrol, Doom Patrol, they gave an entire episode to a single character, So it did really seem like it was dragging out, because it's like one episode for this character, one episode for this character, one episode for this character, and how that one character's emotional arc entwined into the narrative of the entire season. So it really did feel, it really, I could see how people would see it as like, this is slow or whatnot. But they did such a great job that it's, it's forgivable.
But all right, good listeners, that's what we have here. Catch up with us shortly as we get back to more the next episode before the break.
We got one more episode of Superman and Lois before the break, and it seems like we're going to have a month, because it doesn't seem like the 12th episode, which the only thing I could find on when it would air, it's on IMDb. I couldn't find it anywhere else, and that's July 27th is the next episode after tonight's.
Which is the week of Superman celebration, so...
Tonight? Yes.
No, July 27th.
Oh, nice.
So, all right, everybody, remember.
Do you enjoy listening to Southgate Media Group podcasts? Well, I know I do. And do you want to help support the shows? Well, the great way is you can help support the shows without having to give any more money. Just go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a link at the top to log into Amazon. Just log into your Amazon account, shop like normal, and part of everything that you buy goes back to help Southgate Media Group. It's simple, it's easy, and you're just doing the same thing that you usually do by buying stuff on Amazon.